Welcome to the Get Back, music work talk in Central Texas, Fridays at 1 p.m. Brought to you by the Austin Federation of Musicians and with the Unemployment Compensation Advisory Committee. The Unemployment Compensation Advisory Committee are members of the Austin Federation of Musicians, Local 433 of the American Federation of Musicians, aka the Musicians Union. Some of us work as contractor 1099 workers, and others work as employee W-2 workers in various aspects of the music industry.
The goal of this session is to share our experiences, including trials and tribulations related to the Texas Workforce Commission, or TWC, with other musicians in the state of Texas to aid in navigating the TWC application process. We are not experts in unemployment assistance. We are musicians.
The information contained herein does not constitute either legal advice or an official pronouncement or a position of the Austin Federation of Musicians, but rather is only the personal opinions of the panelists. The panelists do not give legal advice or make official rulings on agency matters, should not be cited as authorities in any matter before the agency or when dealing with agency staff about a case, and must minimize their involvement with administrative processes. They also do not give legal advice on any other matter, and any information they should give should not be used as a basis for taking any employment-related action. Before taking any employment action that could adversely affect an employee, or before using any sample form or policy you may obtain from this group, you should consult a licensed, private sector, employment law attorney of your choice. All right, this is the Get Back for October 22nd, 2021. Joining me, I'm Aaron. Joining me are Russell and Mark. Hello, gentlemen. Yeah, okay. Well, I guess we always start with the websites at the bottom for information about the union. There's still some information down there about unemployment, and information about general music recovery stuff. And then, of course, we always start with beverages as well. I'm doing coffee like usual. What are you guys drinking on there?
Green tea.
Well, gentlemen, we have a new player in the game.
Dun, 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 dun. Now, that's still water, though, right?
What's the word? Is it better than the other one?
No, I just went in the store and it was there first.
Right.
It is a change. It's a change. We'll have to get used to that.
Right.
Excellent, man. But yeah, okay. Well, there's still stuff going on. I think that the term was coined either this week or last week, Striketober, because there's so many strikes going on. You know, but I suppose we could talk about the local issues first, because there's early voting has started. And Russell, you have some experience already with that. We were talking in the before show.
Yes,
Yes. So it's an election. There are state proposals for the state constitution. There's 8 of those, but then there are 2 local City of Austin proposals. If you live in the City of Austin, which of course our union jurisdiction is like 11 counties around. But includes the City of Austin. That's kind of where most of our members reside. But do you want to just tell us about your experience? It seems a little bit harrowing.
Sure. I went to my polling place, which I won't say where, but now that the voting rules have changed, so I get there and they're kind of huddled up around the door. And they're asking you, do you need any help voting? As if I'm not able-bodied. Do you need us to explain the machines to you? And as I'm walking toward the machine, they're walking with me.
And you're not talking about the polling place workers. You're talking about someone else?
No, it's the polling place workers.
Oh, okay.
I've never seen that before.
Yeah, that's because the rules have changed.
Oh.
They can do that now. And so the few expletives, they decided that this guy's able-bodied and better leave it. And I was able to go about my business as a normal citizen.
And were they doing that to everybody that came in?
No. which is the first thing I noticed. I watched the guy in front of me, and I kind of loitered around to see was this going to happen again.
Wow.
Guess what? Only me.
Wow. Yikes. Was anyone else there to talk with you before that? Like while you were waiting in line, or?
Nope.
No, it's just that. Wow. Interesting. Man.
Wow.
And did it seem like they were trying to influence your vote one way or the other?
You know, if you were really elderly or if you were unsure what you were doing, they could intimidate you.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were just kind of swarming around. And, you know, that's ridiculous. I mean, but that's what the rules are intended to do, is to intimidate the voters and kind of basically guide you to the decision that they want you to have.
Well, so one of the things that the new voting rules have is they allow those poll watchers to be in the room, and so it sounds like you couldn't tell the difference between the employees that were running the election and were some of those people poll watchers or not. You know, were they like there to just supposedly just observe what's going on, or?
Yeah, there's no specific identification that says poll watcher versus, you know, worker. I mean, there's people that work behind the desk to, you know, get your ID and, you know, run it through and get you ready for the vote, hand you the ballot.
And those were mostly the only people there before.
Yeah,
but
that
now,
was there before.
Now there's more people there.
Hmm?
Wow.
Now there are people outside that are kind of. Used to be, you know, there were people outside that were kind of getting you to want to sign up for issues. Would you sign petitions for this and this and that? And now they're actually asking you, do you need help?
Wow.
Wow. That's terrible.
Yeah. Well, and it seems kind of disingenuous, too. They're not really identifying themselves, what they're doing there. And yeah. Man. Well, that's wild, man. Yeah, because early voting started on Monday and goes up until a couple days before the actual election day, right? I think it's like Friday before election day or something. So it doesn't go all the way up to election day, right? There's so vote now if you want to vote early. Yeah, because it does end a few days before election day, and get in there. Yeah, I think it's already. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh,
my problem is that, you know, let's say that there's a long line to vote, and they start with this, people will leave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's been a problem. Yeah, the whole time. Yeah, when the lines are too long and they're not able to service people. Now, of course, it's still the case that if you're in line when the poll is scheduled to close, they have to let you vote.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you should stay. Yep.
Yeah, but waiting in line for 2 or 3 hours is not something that you should have to do to vote.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, and that should not be used as a deterrent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, see, now the way it's stated now, I mean, don't look to get water or anything. Don't think you're going to leave to go to the restroom and come back. Now, all that's been vetoed.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah, and there won't be drive-through places, and yeah, it's much more difficult to vote by mail and everything else. Yeah, yeah, but it's important that we do. We got to do it. We got to vote. We got to vote these folks out. Of course, we're not really voting for people this election as much as we are propositions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, is that true?
Important.
Yep. Yeah. We were talking about this over the weekend, Russell. It's like we don't get a break. You got to vote in every election because they're trying to pull stuff every election, right? That is kind of of weird, kind of well, there's stuff that we don't want on every election now, and you can't take any elections off anymore. Yeah, I know it. Yeah. What was I going to say? The deadline is already passed to register to vote. If you're not registered to vote, you can't register for this election, but you can register for the next one. And voting registration doesn't stop. You can still register to vote. It's just it is too late for this election right now. I believe we've passed that deadline already. But we got to get everybody registered for next year's election. Is going to be a really big one. And so don't stop talking about it, right? we got to get everybody registered that we can. And yeah, absolutely. So, all right. Well,
and don't be fearful. I mean, don't let that stop you.
Mm-hmm.
And furthermore, I mean, know your issues and know your rights, and don't be afraid to say, "Look, I don't need your help. Move."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. So the other thing we were talking about is kind of the narrative around the Prop A thing, right? In the city here, Prop A is the city initiative that our union and all the unions are opposing. But it requires a mandatory expansion of the police force at the cost of literally everything else in the city budget, right? You were telling me before the show, Russell, that you'd seen news coverage that sort of like backhandedly supports Prop A, right? Where they're covering where a business owner. What was the story you shared?
Got it right here.
Yeah.
Says a North Austin business owner was told by police to gather his own evidence after a burglary at his store.
And that's on a news television outlet, right?
Hayview.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they say that we are lacking manpower.
And it's like they're reporting the hearsay from the business owner, right? There's not actually a quote from the police on there, or is there?
Well,
seems odd that they would do that, But it's almost like they're trying to support the Prop A initiative there. So maybe we're reading too much into it. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but it's strange. Yeah. So we do have to kind of watch out for that. But that's yeah. As far as the city initiatives, yeah. Go ahead.
Bizarre that with that issue being on the ballot, that this story pops up.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's happened a couple of times in the last few weeks where the news is sort of reporting what private citizens have reported about the police or telling them specific things, or like to call 311 instead of 911 for certain types of reports. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
who's in bed with who?
Right. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, with the Prop A thing came up from that Save Austin Now political action committee, which seems to be a pretty well-funded Republican effort. Although they claim to be bipartisan, it's pretty solidly Republican, and yeah. So it's a little strange there, but yeah. So anyway. Yeah, there's a lot of opposition to that thing has come out, but it's important for us to vote. We got to vote. We don't want money taken from the firefighters and from all the other city budget things to arbitrarily increase the police department. And I don't think they're really even prepared to do it. The police chief, the new police chief that we talked about last week, even is in opposition to it because it doesn't really make any sense. It's just sort of a random number that they came up with. So, yeah. Yep, but we got to get out and vote. Yeah. The Austin Chronicle and Austin Statesman both have voting guides out there to the state propositions and the city propositions. And I always think that's interesting to look at those two things and see what the differences are, because the Austin Chronicle is starting to lean a little more libertarian in that direction. Particularly, they're exactly the same as far as the city proposals, but the way that the state proposal recommendations are different is kind of interesting, and their justifications. So, I'd recommend both of those guides and look at how they're different on the state proposals, because those are state constitution amendments, and so. Yeah, they're pretty interesting, and that could be, maybe we should talk about those next week, because that early voting will still be happening. So, yeah, but I'd recommend everybody check out both of those voting guides, because they're pretty unique. And I think the Texas AFL-CIO is coming out with a voting guide for the state proposals pretty soon, so we'll post that as well. But the most immediate thing that we've been talking about, is that city Proposition A is pretty easy to oppose, because it's doesn't make a lot of sense.
And Proposition B?
Yeah. So do you know anything about what that's about, Mark?
No, I mean, I've been gone for 10 days.
That's right.
I'm
Welcome back.
A little out of the loop.
Welcome back, Cotter. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
So Proposition B, I can talk a little bit about that. That's the city. That's the other city amendment, or the city proposition, that's going to allow them. There's a piece of property next to the Oracle campus. That's all. It's I think it's on the river, but it's basically like parking lots right now, and they want to trade that. The city wants to basically trade that piece of property for a bigger piece of riverfront property, and that they can develop into parks and things like that. And it seems like a pretty good deal. But it's not even, the deal's not even on the table yet. It's really just the proposition just allows the city to start negotiating that trade for a bigger piece of property. I think with Oracle, right? Oracle wants that property. So it's interesting, and it seems like a pretty easy thing to support. Everybody's supporting that as well. So both the Statesman and the Chronicle support the city Proposition B. So. Yeah, man. But the important thing is to vote. We gotta show these people that we're gonna vote. Everybody's gonna vote on this stuff when these kind of hasty propositions come up, like Prop A. Yeah, because the other side is also turning out, So, what else here? There's also in the news. Unfortunately, we're still talking about the state abortion law, and there's news on that the Supreme Court is still not going to block it, but they're going to hear 2 challenges to it. So it's still in effect while the Supreme Court, the National Supreme Court, is looking at it.
That's not till November 1st at the earliest.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So that abortion law or ban is still in effect, and still vigilante justice and all that stuff is still going on. So I wish there were better news on that, but we'll have the link to the Statesman article on that, which is not actually a Statesman article. That's from the Associated Press, I think. I don't know, it's from USA Today. So interesting. And then you guys have any thoughts on that before we move on from that?
Well, just worry that one, he's circumventing the Roe v. Wade law, which that in itself is crooked enough, but he's looking for a way to get around the vaccine mandate.
You're talking about our governor.
Our illustrious governor.
Our illustrious governor, Greg Abbott, yeah. It all seems to be sort of connected to increasing the power of the governor's office to do that somehow. About the vaccine mandate ban, the governor's orders are still there, right? That he made last week, but he did not get the state legislature to pass a law to that effect. Yeah. And this third special session is now over, and it has been reported that the lieutenant governor is proposing a fourth special session, but we don't know whether that's going to go in or not. But yeah, that whole thing is.
Well, see, to be able to mandate the private sector to go along with his wishes is showing all tyranny. I don't know how he expects to do that, but that's really what he wants to do. I mean, yeah, you can, okay, state officers, yeah, because I'm governor, you got to do what I want you to do. But he's going after the private sector.
Yeah, and that seems to be like, what the conservative voice is sort of rallying against is the tyranny of the supposedly the tyranny of the Biden administration to have these vaccine mandates. But yeah, it's a really strange debate, isn't it? Yeah. So.
Oh, it directly affects our business now.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, because some venues are really being able to reopen and have people in because people feel safe because there is a vaccine mandate, but or a testing mandate or whatever, or a mask mandate. All these things are allowing our business to start up again. And if all that gets taken away, and there's another, things are cooling down as far as the virus now, so that's good news for us. But if there's another spike or something or another variant, and we can't have those things put in place, it's going to affect our ability to work. So yeah,
he's taking away the security nets for gig workers.
Mm-hmm.
Should there be another spike, we're just kind of stuck out.
Yeah, and then of course there's with the school mandates, there are several groups of disabled students and their parents that are suing because the lack of, especially like in Florida, that's going down, right? Where if they don't allow the schools to have a mask mandate, then it means those students that have disabilities or are immune compromised, they can't go to school if there's no protection there. So then it's excluding them from school, and that's There's so many different perspectives here on that, but it seems like it would be better if just no one, they would allow us to reduce the number of people getting sick, right? That would be great, right? So, yeah. I know it. Well, so that those two issues, right? The vaccine mandate or ban on vaccine mandates, and the abortion issues continue to be places where Texas is getting national attention for the wrong reasons, and that's a shame.
Just one more thing before we pass on. I mean, if it continues to boil out of control, we lose industries.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We lose work again.
We lose jobs, everything. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, man. Well, and that leads into the strikes, right? We got a few entertainment strikes. We covered the IATSE, the stagehands potential strike a couple weeks ago, and that has largely been resolved. They voted to authorize a strike, and then that brought the employer back to the table, and they were able to avoid a strike. So they have a new agreement now. So that solidarity is what motivated that, right? That motivated the employer to come back and say, "Oh, maybe we can make a deal here," because they almost shut down all television and movie production in the whole country, which would have been pretty nuts. It would have affected us too. So, yeah. And then we got what else? What else as far as strikes? There's like 20 different strikes going on across the country now. We got cereal workers, John Deere tractor workers, whiskey, people that make whiskey are on strike. I mean, it's all over the place. But the most direct thing is the San Antonio Symphony, right, just south of us. they're doing a demonstration today from 4:30 to 6:30 at the downtown, and it's kind of a convenient time unless you're working tonight, which I am, and a lot of musicians are, but. You can kind of get down there before rush hour, and then the demonstration is sort of during rush hour. It's 4:30 to 6:30. It's across the street from the Tobin Center where the symphony plays. It's in front of the symphony offices, and you can actually go down there and join with the brothers and sisters of the and siblings of the San Antonio Symphony. The musicians are going to be there demonstrating, and I know several other trade unions are going to be down there with them. And not too far from us down here in Austin, so I want to let everybody know about that. You can follow them at Musicians of the San Antonio Symphony on Facebook, and their webpage is MOSAS, Musicians of San Antonio Symphony .org. And I think this is the first demonstration where they've sort of let people know about it ahead of time, on Facebook, so that other musicians can join them and support them. And so there is a place you can donate on their website. I don't think they have T-shirts yet, like Baltimore did. Baltimore had pretty cool T-shirts a couple years ago for their strike. So that may be coming up. You might be able to buy a T-shirt pretty soon to support the San Antonio musicians. But yeah, you guys hear anything about that?
There's been no movement on the symphony side.
On the part of the management, not so far. Yeah. Well, other than bad movement, they've been deleting. The management has been deleting Facebook posts on their Facebook page that come from donors and supporters, asking them about what's going on, and why they can't. Why they can't pay the musicians. The management started deleting posts like that. So there's been some news on that end. Yeah, haven't really heard anything.
Overtly hostile.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, so yeah, been a lot of coverage though. There haven't really been. There was a press release I think from the management a couple weeks ago. That had a lot of erroneous statements that the musicians then made a response to, very good response, and they had responses to every single thing that the management was saying, and every erroneous comment. So that was pretty good, and that got published pretty widely. That's been on their Facebook page as well. So we'll see. It's really kind of embarrassing, that a city that big is trying to cut their orchestra down. To an even smaller orchestra than really small cities have, and it's way smaller than what we have here in Austin, even, and that's a much bigger city there. So, solidarity to those musicians, and hopefully we can all get together with them at some point in one of their demonstrations. Where we're not all working already, and Fridays, of course, but that's when they would have been working, so that's why they're doing it then. I think this is should have been one of their concerts that's now been canceled. So yes, indeed. You guys hear anything else about those other strikes that have been going on?
The nurses are still rumored to be going soon.
Yeah. Yeah, there are some nurses unions that I think are already on strike, and that's a profession, of course, where they already have a lot of power. I mean, there's been a nursing shortage nationwide for a long time already. Yeah, they're definitely needed and in demand and essential, and and it's well documented that they're not paid enough nationwide across the board. They're not paid enough.
And then when people do dumb stuff like the governor, this doesn't help.
Say that again, Russell. I broke up a little bit.
When people do dumb stuff like our governor, this doesn't help.
Right.
Just usher in sick people who shouldn't be sick.
Yeah, and overload those health systems even more. Yeah, it's hard to imagine what the rationale is. behind some of that
Hey, we
stuff.
got the refrigerator trucks. What more can you guys want?
Oh my gosh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So hopefully we can keep everybody more healthy, and treat our essential workers better, treat all of our workers better in the future. So, all right. Well, that's all I had on my agenda today. Did you guys have anything else you wanted to talk about today, this week?
Well, that's enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we hopefully we'll keep an eye on the rent relief situation. That's still ongoing. We've been talking about that the whole time. We'll have more on that, I'm sure, in the future. More strikes.
Money is still there.
Yeah, yeah. It's just got to get to the people.
Yeah.
Yep. So, all right, brothers. Well, yeah. If that's all we got this week, that's all I have. So, if you, the viewer, are in the music business, don't give up. We can get through this and get back to where we were, and hopefully do business better than we have in the past. Because business needs to be better for all workers in the U.S. We need to get more respect and more power from our employers, and we do that by getting together and sharing information and working in solidarity through unions and everything else. So, all right. Well, we'll see you next week on the Get Back. Take care.